Hi.
Short Bus Debate Club. It's a bus rolling.
I can get on board. Hello, I'm Darren Jolly.
It's time to get this short bus started. So let's roll and on with the show. Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Brian Courtney with Short Bus Debate Club. Hope you have exact change because we do not make change.
Is that an ironic comment?
Today, Wednesday, we are talking entertainment. So we're going to do movies where humans fuck things up. Generally speaking, I think the way the whole thing started was because of COVID, so we were going to talk pandemic movies, but then it just kind of spun out into movies where the end of the world was our fault. Of course, Darren's across the table from me.
Hi. What do you think about that idea about how we're so obsessed, like as a culture, with movies that are about the destruction of the human race, that we essentially cause it to happen, no less.
So I think maybe it's one of two things, if not both. So, a couple episodes ago, you talked about tragedy porn. And so, maybe somebody's getting excited about the thought of the world blowing up. But I think it's also like, how girls hang out with girls that they think are worse looking than they are because they feel better about themselves if they do that. So I think it gives people an opportunity to see things just completely fucking implode or explode or whatever, and there's no danger.
So what you're saying is, I am, as a person, am fucking my life up royally. But if I take a look at this movie where the entire human race was so fucking shitty that it eventually destroyed itself, then that becomes uplifting because I'm comparing the shittiness of my life to the absolute shittiness of destroying all humanity.
Absolutely. You're a shallow teenage girl.
There's gotta be something. There's gotta be something more to it than that. I would hope, but I don't know. We'll get into that as we get deeper and deeper into it. So what were some of the ones that first popped into your the stream of thought when you were thinking about?
Well, so I mean, when we first started talking about it, the one that popped up almost instantaneously was Outbreak, that 90s movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Dustin Hoffman and Rene Russo and Kevin Spacey and Donald Sutherland.
And the guy who got the monkey bite was in that stupid movie Can't Buy Me Love, right? Patrick Dempsey or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Also in Grey's Anatomy.
So there were a whole shitload of people in it. So that was the first one that popped in my head.
Why?
I don't know, because we were talking about pandemic movies.
So what did they trigger? Or did we have? Was there something? Was it like kind of like The Stand, where we let something that we had something that was contained, or?
Yeah. So that was another guy that was in it. Oh fuck! And now I just went blank. So Donald Sutherland was one general, and he was basically the evil general. And Morgan Freeman was another general, and he was the also evil general, but the evil general who didn't necessarily like to be evil.
He still kind of kept talking to Dustin Hoffman a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, and he wanted to, maybe tell him because this, what was it called? The Mutaba virus?
Something like that. That sounds about right.
Mutaba was originally released in Africa, and they kept it because they wanted to use it as like a WMD type of thing. So they had it on ice. Well, when this other outbreak happened, when everybody else kind of found out about it. Morgan Freeman wanted to release the antivirus, and Donald Sutherland said no, because if we do, then they know that we'll know about it and that we've known about it, and we'll lose our weapon.
Motaba, that's pretty good. You're right. Right on.
So Morgan Freeman was the bad guy. Now, whether or not they actually developed it, I don't know, or just kept it under wraps and then developed the antivirus and kept it under wraps even more. I know that just by doing that, they kind of fucked everything up, and a new pandemic happened, and they were about to bomb the United States of America because of it.
That little California town. So, and the regardless of whether or not they developed it, they were definitely trying to manage it and weaponize it and all that kind of, which is something that sort of seems to be a common theme. The biological, warfare kind of weaponizing these nightmares, because that was the same kind of thing that they did in I'm Legend too, wasn't it? Wasn't that something that broke out? And oh no, because they cured cancer in that one. That's right. And then the body mutated through the cancer cure.
I can't remember how it ended up spinning out. All I know is that he said, "Meet me at the airport. I'll be there." And they had the little dog. The dog was the best part of the movie, but that's because
Marley, right? The dog's name was Marley.
I think that's right, because he liked Bob Marley.
I have no idea why I remember that.
I am going to boycott Will Smith movies because of that shit that he pulled with Chris Rock. So I haven't seen I Am Legend since at least the Chris Rock thing.
Get your wife out my mouth, out your mouth.
Yeah, I just can't even, like, he's not a tough guy. He never was a gangster, and I don't know if you can consider a lot of these guys gangsters, now that they've done movies like Are We There Yet? Are We Done Yet? Whatever the fuck it's called.
Parents just don't understand,
Well, right. I mean, that was his stupid fucking show, based on his stupid fucking song.
What was no, they just counted. The show wasn't based off the song.
I'm pretty sure it was, dude, because it was the fucking intro song.
No, they played a different song at the beginning. Having said that, though, I never watched the where he's getting raised by his uncle or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that was the same fucking song, dude.
He did a different stupid fucking white person rap song that was just like that one at the beginning of a.
I swear it was Parents Don't Understand.
This is tangent number one for the show.
The Fresh Prince of Beverly Hills.
Of Bel Air.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I Am Legend, another movie I was going to bring up, but I didn't want to talk a whole lot about it because, well, fuck Will Smith. You the man, Chris Rock. You the man.
Well, I'm 98% sure that like Emma Thompson is talking at the beginning of the movie. She's on like an Ellen DeGeneres show or a Whoopi or Oprah Winfrey kind of show, and she's talking about how they found the cure for cancer, and then through that cure, they didn't test it well enough. They didn't take it to the intermediate, like some of the stuff we were talking about, with COVID last time. They didn't really test it well enough, and it mutated. And so Will Smith was always looking for patient number one and shit like that. So, okay.
Sorry, my bad. I was listening to you.
What in the fuck are you playing? Oh, you're playing some Super Will Smith song?
Yeah, except it's a fucking Walmart ad.
Well,
so this is the song from the album. And that's also the theme song.
This is not the song. That is a different song than the ones that were on the album. Are we really going to argue over a stupid fucking Will Smith song?
No,
Let's talk about people fucking dying, dude.
let's do it.
Uh,
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
we got Outbreak. We got I Am Legend.
There's also all of the Resident Evils.
The T virus.
Yeah,
The zombie shit really is pervasive in a lot of these.
I think so, because that was another three that I was going to talk about was World War Z, 28 weeks later, or 28 days later, and 28 weeks later. So the zombie thing really just happens to, permeate the whole thing. I guess there's not another way for the world to go in the shitter other than zombies.
What is it? What again? Like, what is it about humans consuming other humans that like? But the thing though, I like World War Z. We don't really know what was the cause of that one. Like, but there's no doubt 28 days, 28 days and 28 weeks later, whatever it was, that was there was a like a virus that was in this. I can't remember if it was in a dog or if it was in a mouse or a rat or something.
I thought in World War Z, wasn't it our fault too? No, they didn't say.
They go to Korea. They're trying to find out because that was the first place that they heard about it from, and then that took them to Israel because Israel built the walls, and they're talking to that goofy guy who's in the CIA who's been selling guns to North Korea, and ultimately, when he's having the discussion with the guy that was part of the Israeli power structure that put the walls up, he says to because Brad Pitt's like, well, so you got an email about them in India, and he said, don't go to India. You're chasing a fucking ghost at this point in time. You just have to figure out a way for us to survive. So they don't really, but I mean, I still think it's reasonable to assume that
we did it
somehow or another. Yeah.
But it was interesting that in Israel, and that was one of the cool twists compared to all of the other movies, is that it was in Israel when all of those fucking zombies were running down the ramps, which again, I don't like running zombies, which I think you guys remember from previous episodes, but they're running down the ramps because they had just busted through the wall, and that fucking kid, I'm assuming he had cancer, some kind.
He was bald, so I mean, it looked like he'd been going through chemo. Yeah.
And he just ducked down like this, and they just fucking passed right by him. So I thought that was kind of a cool twist compared to the other ones.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah. I mean, when the doctor says your strength hides what your weaknesses are, and yeah, like.
And I didn't think I was going to like that movie, and it was actually pretty decent.
I need to. I want to read the book. I know the book was written from an oral history perspective, so like it's all these different people telling stories when it was happening. I kind of like because of all the Beyond Chicanismo stuff. I like the oral history stuff. So, one other thing.
How do you write a book based on oral histories?
We just so they wrote it as a collection of things that other people wrote. Like this is what our experience was in South Korea. You just say I saw this and I saw that happen.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and I don't want to go crazy off track, but like technology is something that like destroys us a lot of times in these kind of movies too, like Terminator, Matrix.
Well, artificial intelligence fully.
Specifically,
I mean, that's kind of the main one with regard to technology. With the exception of, what is it? Terminal Velocity? No, that was a different movie. What's the shitty one with the Emilio Estevez in the fucking truck with the stupid Joker face?
Oh, Who Made Who? Oh, that was a song in it.
Right, that was the AC/DC song. It was a Stephen King book.
It was a Stephen King book. Yeah, I know. Jesus Christ.
But all the machines went crazy, and nobody even thought about unplugging them or anything. They just fucking sat there and let a fucking electric knife cut their fucking hand off. The lawnmower chases them around. They did finally figure out that without gas, the cars and automobiles wouldn't do any good. But then...
So then the one with the Joker face just like stopped and said, "Oh, I'm out of gas."
Right. Well, then the Jeep with the gun on it.
What the fuck was the name of that movie, dude?
God damn it.
iRobot was another one though that they did where artificial intelligence, it gets to the point when she's like, you guys can't fucking handle yourselves. You're evil. You're fucked up. So I'm just gonna fuck you all up and control your.
And
asses.
there were components of that in the Resident Evil stuff too, because she said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna let you guys die. You're stupid anyway." But yeah, artificial intelligence and all of the fucking Terminator movies. I mean, we definitely built that. The Matrix, we did all of that.
Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum
Jesus
Overdrive.
Christ.
Yeah, I said Terminal Velocity, but that was his brother. And I can't even remember what the fuck that movie was about.
What?
Terminal Velocity.
Yeah, I got no idea.
I know it was the other Estevez brother who calls himself Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, so artificial intelligence, I mean, and that's an important question. If you take out the time travel from, the Terminator stuff, because that makes things very complicated. I mean, they're great fucking movies. Don't get me wrong. That isn't what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you take the time travel part out, then you still have the artificial intelligence issue.
But the one thing that I like about like when we're talking about the destruction of the human species, right? There's a movie that came out last year called Don't Look Up. It's on Netflix. It's got all these, Jennifer Lawrence is in it. And,
the fat kid that I don't like.
Yes. So yeah, Jennifer Lawrence and the Leonardo DiCaprio. They're scientists. They figure out there's a meteor that's coming to the Earth that's gonna fucking destroy everybody. So like they go and they try to talk to all these people that heads of state, and they're too busy partying and having fun, and so just fucking bury your head in the fucking sand.
Yeah.
And so like that's like an idea where the destruction comes from our failure to act, right? So when I think about like something with the Terminator, like the initial incident, right? Nobody could have foreseen that it was going to lead to the launching of all the nuclear weapons and then them just dominating everything because they're the ones that were going to be able to be living well on the other side of it because we don't have food, we don't have blah 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 blah. So I think that like the thing that becomes novel about the concept of time is that like we really are going to destroy ourselves. Like if we don't sort of start to imagine different like potential trajectories for our futures, and if we don't start to actively engage those fucking spaces, sort of like you saw the Edge of Tomorrow, Live Die Repeat. I know you love Tom Cruise so much; he's one of your favorites. But he's in.
No, I was thinking of Oblivion.
He's in it with Emily Blunt. It came out very close to when Oblivion came out, but Tom Cruise. So like aliens invade.
He ended up right. Oh, never mind. Go ahead. Explain it.
So aliens invade. There's these one aliens that have they're the blue aliens. They have this kind of blood that if it falls on a human being, then they can reset time over and over and over and over again. So it's really complex, but the whole idea is if you're going to find a way to survive, like you might have to sort of like negotiate that temporal space tens of thousands of times.
I did not see that movie.
It's really an interesting film, but it reminds me of the same ideas that they bring up with Terminator. Of course, there's all kinds of problems that develop out of that because you have so many different timelines that sort of emerge out of it. But I really think right now, like the irony of a movie like Don't Look Up is that that's us. We really don't know how to make a move to not kill ourselves right now.
So I didn't even think about this one when we were talking about it, but the whole time paradox comes up in this movie sort of accidentally. But Idiocracy is another movie where just failing to do anything completely fucks up the planet.
Like Gatorade as a way to grow your crops that's not wisdom.
Right. What about the garbage avalanches? But the paradox happens when they're in Costco, because Costco's like as big as a city, and they have to take trains from department to department. But he's like, no, I'll go, and I'll go back in time, and then I won't go, and then we won't be here, and that way I'll save her. And he goes, no, wait, but I'm here now, so that means I didn't make it back. So what? And the dumb guy's like, just, and I know that you guys couldn't see that, but he was just sitting there with his mouth open and he was mouth breathing, and he's like, I don't know.
The concept of a paradox was not going to be forthcoming to this very intelligent, idiocratic figure from the future. So. That you know why people are idiots in that movie, because dumb people breed, right? That was one of the big premises that it was based on.
Absolutely, yeah. That they breed, and a lot. Like that one guy was fucking his girlfriend and his neighbor, and his son did very similar things. I don't know. It was fucking hysterical, and I wouldn't have even thought of that as an apocalyptic type movie. But when I started thinking about the time paradox, then I started thinking about all of the other shit that was there, and yeah, it's bad, and we are just as in danger of that happening as we are of the artificial intelligence thing or the fucking biological warfare thing.
Around, yeah.
I mean, any one of those three, as far as I'm concerned, is a highly probable scenario.
When we haven't even gotten to like climate change or anything like that yet. I mean, there's just a lot of things that make it to where we're just stuck in that don't look up space, to where, like, if you are a sane person, and when I say sane, I mean that you look at things honestly, you like head on, like you don't bury your head in the sand like a fucking ostrich. What are you going to be feeling really good? I mean, you should probably be having like 16 fucking panic attacks a day and feel like the fucking weight of the world is crushing you, because like, how do you, I mean, the day after tomorrow, that was when we had talked about a little bit when we were getting ready for this. And
yeah,
a lot of those ones where you're looking at environmental stuff, it's always generally one dimensional. So like on that one, like it's a simple scientific concept that, I mean, if you've got any aptitude for science at all, the polar ice caps melt. The polar ice caps are fresh water. That fresh water comes into the Atlantic and fucks up the what are they called? The Atlantic current, right? The North Atlantic current, which changes because our atmosphere and our weather is dependent on the movement of the winds that develop off the Atlantic currents and the other currents that So when you desalinate the fucking oceans because of this, everything gets cold and a bunch of motherfuckers fucking die. I mean, and that's just one little simple,
I know. That was like seriously my favorite. I laughed so fucking hard at that movie, and I know it wasn't supposed to be a funny fucking movie. But dude, seriously, like fucking helicopters and shit are freezing in midair and crashing down, and then there's like one dude who's still alive in the helicopter, and he just manages to get out a radio signal. But then everything else is freezing. Everybody's freezing to death, no matter where they are.
Well, only when you get caught in the center.
But Jake Gyllenhaal manages to fucking light a few books on fire at the library, and that stops the frozen danger from going through the library door. It was fucking brilliant writing. Those guys were geniuses, whoever wrote that movie.
You really have a hard time with a suspension of disbelief. Of course it doesn't make sense, like that. You haven't watched Snowpiercer yet, right?
Parts of it. I've seen the first, I think, season, or pretty close to the first season.
The movie. You got to watch the fucking movie that it was based off of.
Oh, well, fuck, dude. I've been watching that stupid ass show because I thought that's what you told me to watch.
No, you want to watch. You want to watch the movie. Chris Evans is the main character in it, and it's when he's like not. He hasn't quite become Captain America yet, so he's not quite so big. So, Bong Joon Ho is the director. He's the Korean guy that did Parasite. But like that again, it's based on like the shit starts to get too hot. So these motherfuckers are like, well, let's just launch these things into the atmosphere, and it'll warm things up a little bit. It's called CW7. That's the compound, right? And of course, because you're trying to fucking fix the fucking atmosphere, if you think one thing getting launched into the atmosphere is going to fix everything, then you're a fucking retard. So of course they overcorrect. Meanwhile, this fucking guy, Wilson, or I can't remember, Wilford, he knew that these guys were going to fuck up, so he creates a perpetual motion train that goes all the way around the earth, like over and over and over again. And on the fucking train, they have this. It's like a political economy, where you have the people that are at the very top, and then you have people who were eating each other at the beginning because they didn't have any way to create enough food to fucking survive. Um, Fucking brilliant fucking movie, but again, like the scientific, precepts are just again senseless, right? They don't really make any sense. I mean, it's just the whole point is, I mean, you don't need me to tell, you're just framing the thought so that you can say, hey, motherfuckers, if some fucking little girl from fucking Norway who's autistic can say, we're all gonna die if we don't get smarter and not fucking do these things to our environment, like, then that's what should be,
Yeah, we should maybe take a look at things. But just for the record, I can suspend disbelief, dude. And the helicopters crashing because they froze in air didn't bother me. But I mean, you can't have both. You can't have helicopters freezing in midair and crashing, and then the library thing happen. It just isn't going to work. You got to kill them. Kill them all. The helicopter guys, the guys in the library, kill them.
I think this is your bias here. You just want
People to die.
The culling of the herd. Yes,
That's
you want
possible.
to see, and I don't think you like Jake Gyllenhaal.
I'm not a big fucking Gyllenhaal fan, and maybe it's because I've never seen Donnie Darko. I've heard it's his greatest work.
I have the director's cut. But it's fucking weird, and it's another one of those weird time movies. So
Time doesn't bother me. All I was saying is that the artificial intelligence thing can still happen if we remove the time travel thing from it.
I just and of course, not unlike what happens in these movies, we're gonna just start going around in circles. I just think that it's like to be able to see possibilities, to be able to imagine. There's this book that I need to finish reading it, but it's written by this guy named Yanis Varoufakis, and he kind of has the same strategy that you had in your book, on some level, in the sense that so yours is just like, if you could imagine, just like next month essentially. So like his is more like 5 years, 7 years, but and he does actually have I think 3 or 4 different temporal trajectories as opposed to one, but the point is just to sort of like put yourself into a space where your social science fiction is like trying to open a doorway to where what it is that seems impossible is not impossible. Like if we take little steps, there might be some ways to where we might make it.
No, I get it. But my problem is that if you're gonna start time traveling, you've got to make sure to either keep the same writers and directors from the first one to the fucking fifth one, or you've got to make sure that the writers and directors are fucking smart enough to understand how that shit works. Because, I mean, everything after like the third one started getting all fucking weird and broken up, and to where it didn't quite make a lot of sense, to where in the last one they were just like, fuck it, we're gonna do it in Mexico because now brown people are about to fucking, you know, take over the population as far as the majority. So we're gonna go to Mexico, and the hero is gonna be Mexican this time. But Linda Hamilton is still gonna be there, but she's gonna be really old. They didn't even think about that shit, how they were gonna fucking fix that. You're time traveling, motherfuckers. Make her young again. Anyway, they fucked it up as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think that getting over because like the continuity of these streams is like it would be nice if it was perfect like that, but the way that we meditate on questions that are dealing with time travel now is different than the way we were thinking about it even when the first Terminator came out, or even the second one. The second Terminator, Judgment Day, was fucking awesome, but still, you're just dealing with like circular logics for the most part, and circular temporal logics. You know.
Well, in that last one, they ended up creating at least 3 more timelines because
was that Genesis or which one was that one?
I don't know. So Arnold was in it, but he was a good guy. He had like retired and gotten married and shit.
Oh, that's right.
And he was sending coordinates to Linda Hamilton.
But she didn't know she was.
She didn't know that he was the one sending it to her.
That was Dark Fate. That one was called Dark Fate. So that is the most recent. So.
And then the one girl comes back to save the Mexican girl, but Linda Hamilton is already there. But then they show her at the end as a little girl. The girl, I don't know, she's a blonde girl, and she was cybernetically enhanced. But she came from the future to save the little Mexican girl, just like what's his name, John did to save Linda Hamilton in the first one.
John Connor.
Right.
We must save John Connor. But that's what you get. I mean, at least like you're going to continue to develop your concepts of time and movements through time. Like it couldn't just always be these like circular causal. You're just going to replace this. The concept of a paradox and how you negotiate a paradox. Like that's like part of the reason why. Now I'm getting way too far off topic, but that's why I liked Fringe, because they sort of played around with the concept of paradoxes in an interesting and unique way. But that was a show that came out 6 or 7 years ago versus like the first Terminator was 1980, wasn't it? 1980.
I was gonna say 82, but it might have been earlier than that. So to go back to the Snowpiercer thing,
yeah,
that was the one that they were shooting shit in the sky, right? Yeah.
Yes. That is what they were doing
to fix the issue. So
84.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I didn't think it was that late, or whatever.
Geostorm is a fairly new movie where they were not shooting shit into the sky. Well, kinda. But they were putting a bunch of geosynchronous satellites up in the sky. And these satellites had these fucking little things on them, like little, I don't even remember what they called them, but they were little digital like orbs. And the weather had gotten so bad that if the sun came out, it might melt a kiddie pool or something like that. I mean, it was just huge fucking extremes.
Swings.
If it rained, people could be flooded. One of the things that they showed really cracked me up again was down in Rio, everybody's at the beach and they're partying and having a good time, and all of a sudden this fucking white shit starts coming in and it's freezing the fucking ocean, and of course a fucking airliner comes out of the sky, but this one little fucking Brazilian chick is just fucking hauling ass, and she starts going between these two buildings, and you can see the airliner coming down behind her, and she's just fucking chucking. And this is after her boyfriend already froze like, and busted back there.
So this is worse than even the day.
Oh, fucking A, dude. Because then the airliner comes all the way down and it's crashing and fucking, throwing street and shit up, busting buildings. But that girl totally gets away. Just runs right by. So anyway, there's huge swings. Cold, hot, wet, dry, whatever.
Did you see After Earth?
No, I didn't watch that fucking stupid shit, because not only was it Will Smith, but it was his fucking dipshit kid.
They used that concept in that, though, too. The swings.
Well, they put these orbs into orbit, and whenever an event was about to take place, then the best way I can describe it is like seeing the clouds from outside the atmosphere.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any fucking sense. But that's the only way, like, because there's thousands and thousands of these orbs, and they basically controlled the weather from whenever they launched them.
So what would the function of cloud seeding do?
It wasn't really cloud seeding.
So what was it doing then? What was causing it to prevent it from having the? So it's like, is it starting hot and you're not letting it go as cold? I mean, what?
I can't fucking explain it because it's not something that is actually gonna fucking work, dude. It was. But I said it was like cloud seeding,
but even
from outside the atmosphere. I don't know. I'll have to fucking watch it again so that I can explain it to you guys later, and in a further episode, so I can explain the science that isn't really science. And how it worked.
Brian's a prick. Brian's a prick.
I can't remember, dude. All I remember is that when something went wrong, that the satellite would launch a bunch of these fucking orbs out, and then suddenly it would fix it. But so the United States had control over this, what they called geostorm. It was the thing that was taking care of the global weather.
The geostorm.
And they were about to hand over control to, I think, the UN.
Yeah, because of course nation states still exist in this world.
Yes, the Secretary of State got pissed about that, and he started basically doing shit. Like, he had somebody up in the satellite, and they were fucking causing all kinds of shit. Like, Hong Kong melted. I think that was what caused the Rio thing. All sorts of bad shit started happening. And Gerard Butler, up in space, and his brother down on the ground, had to solve the issue. And of course they did. And everybody won. And the bad guys died, and it was a glorious, glorious day in the geostorm environment.
So, you know what they called the satellites? They called him the Dutch boy.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Because
they had to put a finger in the dike.
Yeah. Something I've always wanted to try. Sorry. Yeah, that's not going to be my most... I think it's funny. You gotta have. I like Dave Chappelle. Sometimes if it's there, especially when the fucking volleyball is right above the net, and you don't even just boom. The Dutch boy.
Yeah. So they did. Lots of fingers, lots of dikes, because there were lots of weather issues.
So we've talked about environmental stuff.
There was another one, and I was about half crocked when I watched this one, but Moonfall is one that just came out, and I don't think this was our fault. This one was something like Armageddon, where it was an asteroid, except it wasn't an asteroid, it was the fucking moon.
Well, that's brand fucking new.
Yeah. And like I said, I was sort of out of it. I think I fell asleep about 20 minutes into it, but I know that the moon is about to...
Yeah, it's knocked out of its orbit.
Did we cause the knocking it out of the orbit, or was it a comet?
It says a mysterious force, so we don't know. They can't. Maybe something was at a right angle with blah 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 that, and then it just starts shooting down. You know.
Right. So we have definitely fucked shit up. You know, all of the Mad Max movies, those are basically based on the same thing. We're fucking things up, and now
Water's
roving
gone.
bands of fucking gangs are trying to, you know, make sure that they stay fed and have enough water
How do they
and
get
all of
their
that stuff.
gasoline? I mean, because they love to drive their badass cars in those.
Well, the only one where they really, I mean, yeah, there's so they steal it from other people. I think they're taking that from Sun Tzu, maybe, or maybe even I don't know. But basically, kill somebody and take their shit.
But if gasoline sits there for too long, it doesn't work anymore, right?
I'm pretty sure it'll fucking work for as long as it's there. I think it does evaporate to some degree. And if it's in a tank for too long, then that tank will start becoming rusty and that'll fuck up the fuel. Maybe it doesn't evaporate, but they always have like a fucking uh,
There's something.
like a breathing hole on gas tanks and stuff.
I swore there was something they you had you could put this like little magic pill in and it would make there's something chemically that gets fucked up if it sits there for a long time, I think. But whatever, that doesn't really. I mean, I think if I'm bitching at you about willful suspension of disbelief, I can at least give Mel Gibson the driving around.
Well, they don't keep track of things very well, and they don't like try to. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. They don't care like some of them, at least in the first one, and the third one too. They've got like nitrous and shit. That's not conserving gas.
They have Master Blaster too.
Yeah.
What did they say? What was Master Blaster? Blah 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 blah.
Well, Master was the little dwarf guy.
Yeah.
And Blaster was the big mongoloid below. And basically, Master just ordered him what to do.
But didn't there was some line that somebody, Master Blaster, blah, blah. Why did you, if you're going to say.
But you know what? Actually, now that you said that, so Master Blaster, he was a scientific guy. So he had figured out how to not only convert pig shit into methane to help with the electricity for the city, but he had also figured out a way to turn that into fuel for the vehicles. So apparently they had run into that problem where, we don't have any more
If you're
gas.
Going to call the missing chromosome guy a mongoloid, why don't you just call the dwarf a midget? I mean, if you're going to go for it, you might as well go all the way at that point in time.
Because he wasn't a midget. He wasn't proportional. He was a dwarf. He had like the big fucking head and the fucking sausage fingers and shit. Midgets.
Only you, Brian.
Midgets are just short.
Only
I wasn't trying to be politically correct.
Your definitional. I'm gonna be categorically right. Dwarfs are like the guy from Willow with like the 7-foot long fingers, right?
Or those people in the fucking or Peter Dinklage. That is his name, right?
Yeah.
The dude from Game of Thrones and the X-Men and all of them.
The best little fucking actor that ever lived.
Little actor, not even little people. Little actors and little actresses. Yeah, so clearly we can do some things to harm the planet and harm humanity. I don't know. The Andromeda strain is another one that we probably should have talked about. I didn't get a chance to watch it before this, but that's a big one. about pandemics and the world basically going fucked up.
That's Robert Heinlein wrote that, right?
Yeah. And then I can't remember one of the Deads, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. It wasn't Night of the Living Dead. Well, it might have been that one too, but one of the, you can't really call them sequels because they weren't really anything except more zombies, but one of those Dead movies was basically them doing scientific testing and whatever, and things went wrong and it created a zombie and whatever. And I think it was Day of the Dead. But they always mess me up because there's so many of them. Then they
Return of the Living Dead on the side, and blah 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 blah. On The Walking Dead, they never really determine. But you have what was the name of the dude with party in the back and work up front? Eugene. Like the way that he sort of talks about the possibilities of it, the weaponizing. That I really liked that show until what's his name? The one with until the little Korean guy got killed and the big redheaded guy got killed. It was no fun anymore after that. You had the trash people and the people that wore the skin on their bodies and.
Oh yeah, I was like, what the fuck are you talking? Yeah.
To pretend like they're
Alpha and her crew, who basically worshipped all of them.
It was like a religion then. Oh, that's fucking weird.
Yeah. Like if you got bit, you were going to be reborn as one of them. It was
really
some fucked up stuff. Yeah. I didn't even bring up The Walking Dead because I wasn't sure what caused that. I just remember them saying that everybody carries the gene. So no matter what happens, when you die, you're going to turn into one of them. But they never said what the trigger was that brought all of this on all of a sudden.
Yeah, Eugene was the closest thing to ever making any guesses. And of course, it was just an idiot that played video games and smoked weed, whatever,
And I hated him almost as much as I did Rick. Like, those are the two guys that I wanted to die basically from the inception of their character.
Really?
Oh, I fucking hated Eugene. He just whined. He almost got a bunch of people killed. And then he was a fucking backstabbing cocksucker to boot. I mean,
when he ended up going and hanging out with Negan and all that stuff, like that was but he ends up pulling like a slick Movida, doesn't he?
Yeah, he ends up making the gun blow up in Negan's hand, and all of the ammo for his team blows up. So I guess, but that doesn't make me like him anymore. That just makes him maybe less of a backstabber. Except no, it makes him more of a backstabber because then he went and backstabbed Negan. So he's just a fucking untrustworthy fucking asshole.
So after that, you just got to take hold of him and just give him a little bit of Old Testament justice. Basically.
Yeah. Like a fucking railroad spike through the ear. Something. Yeah, so we are about at the end of the show. Anything else? TV show, movies? I mean, clearly I fucked up and watched the TV show Snowpiercer when you were talking about the movie.
I've heard the show's pretty good anyway. I'll need to take a look at it anyhow. The only other, I mean, like on some level, even though it's not the same thing, I kept thinking about like Aliens because like our relative, like our inability to work together, aliens would just come and fucking just shell us every
You
time.
mean all of the Ridley Scott movies, Alien and Aliens?
No, I mean like what they would come down and like
when they're looking
skies,
for blankets.
Armageddon or not Armageddon.
V?
Independence Day. V. Yeah. Every time we fucking wouldn't. But I mean, of course, I don't know if that's us doing something to wipe it out. That's just us not being able to act collectively in a thoughtful enough manner to.
Mars Attacks, The Earth Stood Still, War of the Worlds.
Yeah, there's a ton. I mean, there's just a fucking ton of them. Where I mean, it's not aliens being nice guys; it's aliens.
Well, but I mean, those movies are kind of our fault too. I mean, because of course, the United States, postures up and says, "Well, they violated our airspace. We need to quarantine them, and we need to, take a statement and clear them and do all of this shit," which essentially, even on the movies, means we're gonna fucking chain them up and torture them and shit.
Yeah.
On the ones where they actually got a hold of, one of the alien species. And I have a feeling that that's really the way it would work. Like, I haven't seen the United States document explaining how they would react, when extraterrestrials come into our aerospace. But
there's this really cool episode in Star Trek: The Next Generation called First Contact, and like this is of course something they talk about a lot because there are people that are advanced enough for you to interact with them, and then there are people that are not advanced enough, so you got to kind of keep your distance, right? So when they would get to the point where they would achieve warp drive, that was the point where the general consensus of everybody in Starfleet would be to initiate conversations because it'd be easier to talk to them where you're on an even playing field than doing it up amongst the stars where shit's just going to get really messy. But how difficult it is to even negotiate that. Riker is down on this planet. They're about to do in the next 2 or 3 days. They're going to do their light speed test, and he's undercover. He gets injured. They put him in a hospital, and of course his fucking organs are all in the wrong spot, and he's supposed to only have 3 like fingers, and he's got 5. But what happens? Like everybody comes in and they're scared of him, so they beat him up almost to the point where he fucking dies. So like, yeah, we don't have a protocol, and I would not trust our protocol even if we did fucking create something even like nominally meaningful.
I'm willing to bet that there is one. Like the Air Force has like a shoot first type
That's
of
what I was going to say.
order.
It's going to be more like what they did in that First Contact episode.
Yeah.
We're going to take the aliens and put them in Guantanamo Bay, or maybe take them to Area 51, and yeah, shoot first and ask questions later, which means that we are not a good candidate for aliens to want to come hang out with you.
No, even though we're giving them fucking free blankets, dude.
Free blankets.
I know.
Why you gotta make fun of my blankets? I watched the other day that stupid movie Alien Nation. Do you remember that name? Or that
was
movie?
A cool fucking movie, dude.
But sometimes like the fucking humor in it is so fucking bad. He's like when what's his name meets him and he's his partner and he says, "What's your name?" "My name's Sam." San Francisco,
dude. All of their names were fucking hysterical. But well, that was more obviously because the aliens had already landed, so that was more of a race relations type of movie, I think.
But it definitely had a totally different set of like problems, especially since like they're allergic to water.
Salt water.
Yeah. Oh, is it salt water? Not. Oh, because okay.
Yeah.
And they like to drink curdled milk. They got them drunk.
Yeah, that's what got them fucked up. And they ate some fucking nasty shit. The dude that fucking played James Caan's partner was Mandy Patinkin.
I was looking at something with him in it the other day.
But he's like in all kinds of, what is it? It's not like SVU or one of those, but it's some criminal movie or criminal show.
Minds. Is it one of Criminal Minds?
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah. Jeannie was talking to me about it. Not yet.
But it makes me laugh because you can't recognize him.
No, he does not look like. Yeah, that dude does not look like Not at all. Not even close.
But I got to tell you, the fucking hot ass alien stripper, like, she really is hot. Like, if I would have been James Caan, I would have really, even though he hated those people or those, whatever you want to call them, humanoids.
They were just people with like some no hair and some dots on their head.
Yeah, weird, like leopard skin. Okay, so we're coming up on the end of the world.
What the end of the world? Does that mean that the world is beginning again?
Yes.
Does that mean that we have to keep going?
The world will begin again on Friday when we talk about freedom of expression. And you feel free to express yourself by calling our number at
720-334-ROLL.
Or send us an email at shortbusdebateclub@yahoo.com. And for all of you people that said hi and hello and dear Dr. Dear, thanks for sending those spam emails. I think it's great. If you are listening and you are truly Muammar Gaddafi's daughter, I would love to get a piece of your $25.7 million that's in Burkina Faso. But you're going to have to give me more information than that, and I'm not going to send you my bank account information. So, thanks again, and we will see you Friday. Got anything else, Darren?
If you're going to San Francisco. All right, later.
Get off the bus. This ride is over.